Lifetime Achievement Award, and it is being awarded in association with Star India. To present this, can I please ask Uday Shankar, the CEO of Star India, and Prakash Akolkar, of Press Club, to join us on stage. It delights me to say this. The Mumbai Press Club presents this Red Ink Award for Lifetime Achievement to Dr. Prannoy Roy to honor your outstanding contribution. Please allow me to finish the citation for the award. Can we have the music off for a few seconds? The Mumbai Press Club presents this Red Ink Award for Lifetime Achievement to Dr. Prannoy Roy, sir, to honor your outstanding contribution to the country and society, to recognize the value of your unceasing efforts to uphold the ideals of journalism, and to recognize that your journalistic spirit will serve as a beacon for generations to come. Dr. Roy, it's hardly my place to congratulate you, but I don't think there is a journalist in this country that has not studied, directly or indirectly, in the Prannoy Roy School of Journalism. So we all owe you a big thank you. Thank you very much for shaping the news for us. And with that, I'd like you to speak. I can relieve you of the flowers and the trophy for a few seconds.
Thank you.
Yeah. Would you like me to hold that for you?
No, thanks. Aren't you going to sit down, I think? I said I would speak for 2 minutes. I was told I have to speak for half an hour. So we've taken an average and I'll do about 10 minutes. It's a bit long, actually. 10 minutes are long. Please sit down. Please. Okay, good evening, everyone. And thank you for this honor. Honestly, I've accepted this award because of the immense respect I have for the Press Club of Mumbai. God bless you all. And that's genuine. I don't do this often. Of course, this award is essentially not for me. It's for the person who started NDTV and who I joined, and who's the driving force behind the NDTV vision, growth, the editorial direction, and the ethics at NDTV. My partner and my inspiration, Radhika Roy. And you can ask everybody at NDTV, she is the soul of NDTV. It's also an award for the entire team at NDTV, simply the finest, most talented, and most fun to work with. And we always said, if it's not fun, get out of this business. I'm actually so proud that so many past and present members of the greater NDTV team are being awarded tonight. And as far as we're concerned, some have left now, left the hall, I mean. You never left NDTV. You still have the same DNA and you're still part of the NDTV extended family. Now, I was given my first Lifetime Achievement Award about 10 years ago. And I took it as a not so subtle message saying, Prannoy, it's time to pack up. After a couple of more such messages, which pointed, to the sunset, I decided to avoid Lifetime Achievement Awards. Then things reached a climax when, and this is absolutely true, when the head of a very prestigious TV award organization called me up and asked me to accept an award for being India's most trusted anchor, he said. And he sent a letter, formal letter, which confirmed the phone call, except he left out the T in trusted. That's true. And you may still be wondering, why on earth is this rusted anchor accepting awards? Well, us journalists, we can't resist. We may not be the most important people in this country, but we are the most self-important. Right? So, apart from being self-important, what is the true state of journalism in India? I thought the discussion was fascinating. Where are we at? What is to be done? And may I give you a quick anecdote to show how far we've come since the first ever private news was broadcast in India. It was a daily half-hour news bulletin produced by NDTV called The News Tonight on Doordarshan in 1995, before many of you were born, at least in scroll.in. Proud of you, scroll.in. Learning from you. Well, that night, it was the first night of the first private broadcast in India. And I was anchoring, and like all anchors, I decided to show off a little. All anchors are basically show-offs, let me tell you, all of them. That's ingrained in their DNA. And I said, as the credits ended, I looked at my watch and said, good evening, it's 8 o'clock, and this is the News Tonight coming to you live. Someone in the PM's office heard the word live and reacted to that like it was a 4-letter word. He immediately phoned the INB minister and he yelled at him and said, take this off air. How can you have live stuff? Or at least stop private news at all, or stop it at least from being live. Well, that nightly news, that's not live. If news is not live, it might as well be dead. So what did we do? We got fired. How did we get around this? Well, we changed the clocks. What do we mean by that? There was everywhere in NDTV, there were 2 clocks. One was Indian Standard Time, one was NDTV time. One was showing, NDTV time was 10 minutes ahead of Indian Standard Time. So we bought a large capacity hard drive which could store 10 minutes of video. So we would start our nightly news at 8 o'clock sharp, the 8 o'clock news, NDTV time, not Indian Standard Time. It would go into the hard disk and automatically 10 minutes later come out Indian Standard Time, 8 o'clock. So impossible to interfere, no editorial interference by any bureaucrat or by the government, but technically it wasn't live. Man, we've come a long way from that. From having to buy a hard drive to avoid being called live. So I would characterize, coming back to where we're at in the media, I would characterize India's media as the most crucial ingredient of this, our third phase of Indian democracy. Let me just explain what I mean by third phase. In the first phase, we voted like sheep. That's for the first 30 years or so. 80% of governments, state and central governments, were voted back into power. Good, bad, we voted them back. We were like sheep. Then the second phase, the next 25 years or so, which I call the angry or volatile phase, where 80% of governments, good or bad, were thrown out. Now we're in the third phase for the last 12 years or so, and I call it the informed phase, in which voters have unparalleled access to media. Today, in this third phase, 50% of governments, generally the better ones, are voted back into power, and 50% are voted out of power. So in the first 2 phases, voters would see their candidates once every 5 years at campaign time, never in between. Now every time a politician, sir, as you leave home, there are dozens of mics stuck under their noses. How things have changed even on that front. And all of you in the media are a crucial part of this positive change in our democracy, bridging the gap between the voter and the politician. So it's wonderful to see how far India's media has come. Feel proud of it. Terrific. And so many faces here I've worked with, and you're all people I just love and admire. But there are some worrying trends, and we are here tonight not to just boast about ourselves, and we need course correction now before it's too late. So proud as we are about our news channels in India, may I list 3 or 4 things that need to change, in my opinion, and you can disagree, we all disagree, no 2 journalists agree on anything. Perhaps the biggest danger I feel that we face today is the tabloidization of our news. Every other country, every advanced country with a developed, mature media has a wide spectrum of news, from credible, serious journalism to the tabloid. In England, it's from the Times and the Economist to the Sun and the Mirror. In the United States, it's from New York Times to the New York Post. And in television, it's from BBC and CNN to Fox News. But in India, there is this dangerous slide towards one end of the spectrum, the tabloid end. Why has every single news channel, except one, English, Hindi, regional, why has everyone turned tabloid? Why are we trying to emulate Fox News? There's so many other examples out there. Why does every single news anchor today want to be another Bill O'Reilly? We've got so many Bill O'Reillys around, make Bill O'Reilly proud. In fact, some have gone way beyond him that make him a little jealous, actually. Among our Hindi news channels, talk about tabloid, almost of the leading ones, 25% of their TRPs come from astrology news. Another 25% comes from Saas Bahu serial news, and some really, I was going to use a foul word, but a highly graphic crime news. I have heard a lady anchor on one Hindi channel, I won't mention which one, saying, twirling her hair, break के बाद आपको एक rape दिखाएंगे. I honestly believe tabloidization is the death of news, death of good journalism. But frankly, who's to blame? I don't blame our anchors or our journalists for this, ghastly tsunami of tabloid news. I also strongly disagree with the widely held hypothesis which people bandy around that blames the Indian viewer, that Indians love tabloid sensationalism, Indians have base tabloid tastes. So if our anchors are not to blame, and it's not our viewers, why is India becoming no country for honest journalism? Many feel that the advertising fraternity must carry part of the blame. The advertising pie is distributed based entirely on numbers. Many in the advertising fraternity tell me that our media buyers are essentially eyeball chasers, like ambulance chasers, the media equivalent of ambulance chasers. Now, while our advertisers and media buyers are actually, I've met all of them, skilled as those in the West, and their media modeling skills are as good as anybody, for some reason, they've not created methods that enable them to evaluate news on factors other than just numbers of eyeballs. This is not the case in developed media markets. The circulation of the London Times, for example, is 400,000, while the Sun is 5 times that, 2 million. And we all know that Fox News has 3 times the viewership of CNN. Yet the advertising rate for the Times is much higher than for the Sun. And the advertising rate for CNN is much higher for Fox News than Fox News. Do the eyeballs justify, just numbers justify that? No, of course not. But the advertisers and the media buyers place premium on quality of the time. They place a quality on the premium on the quality of Times, or the quality of The Economist, or the New York Times. The higher ad rate for credible journalism and lower rates for tabloid news has meant that both ends of the spectrum, tabloid and serious, have survived and prospered. And unless we model quality and credibility into our advertising rates, and not just go by eyeball chasing, we shall go headlong into tabloidization, with no place for news that is serious at the serious end of the spectrum. Do think about it. Just stop for a second. Do advertisers really want to come immediately after an anchor who says, break ke baad aapko ek rape dikhayenge? Do they know they are coming, their product is just coming immediately after that? So the day our advertisers in India distinguish between tabloid news and serious news, as is done all over the world, India will see the growth of better quality media and the end to the mushrooming of eyeball-chasing tabloid TV. Let's all blame the viewer. Let's look inwards and do our own research and build models that take into account quality. As you probably know, NDTV has recently been awarded India's most trusted brand across all forms of media. Thank you. That means a lot, really means a lot. Most trusted, more trusted than any other print brand, any other TV brand, any radio brand, any website brand. And this is the second year running that we've won that by quite a large margin. So that's how viewers assess us and value us. And it's perhaps because of our determination to be India's only non-tabloid television network. And I pray that others are also that part of the spectrum. The second point I'd like to use is a phrase that we coined at NDTV called the Heisenberg principle of journalism. Just showing off a bit. The original Heisenberg principle, for those physicists here who would know, crudely interpreted, suggests that the closer you get to an object, to trying to measure it, the more you change yourself. So what is the Heisenberg principle of journalism? It states that if you head towards the sole objective of eyeballs or sensationalism, the very nature of your own journalism and journalists change, your anchors change, because they have got, they fall for this Heisenberg principle. Also, and this is a very important issue I think we have to tackle, if a journalist gets too close to her or his sources, the nature of the news changes. Some call it quid pro quo journalism. As journalists, we must remember, I think I'm old enough to do a bit of lecturing, we are not insiders. We are not on first name terms with politicians. We don't go to the same parties. Your parties are much wilder. Why would you go to a politician's party anyway? In fact, sitting in front of me is two journalists and one who's just left, who have who's got your top awards, and I respect them greatly because they are known to keep their distance from politicians and other power brokers. We first used the term Heisenberg principle of journalism just to impress a friend who asked us collectively, why are all journalists so dumb? Why you guys are so mediocre, low IQ? And he told us a story about what he called the dumb journalist community. He said, you know, all these journalists got together all over the world and said, look, we're all considered so bloody dumb. What do we do about this? One guy said, let's have a huge hall like this. We'll call all the best TV and media all over and show the world. We'll call all our journalists there and we'll show the world that we are not dumb. So they got all the journalists around the world and all the media, because they control the media, and they got a quiz master to pick any journalist up and call them on the stage. And so quiz master started and said, this is the story the guy told us. How much is, first question, how much is 540 plus 235? So the journalist, let me think about that. And he said, 20,300. Quizmaster, everybody all the journalists said, give him another chance, give him another chance. So the quizmaster said, okay, one more chance. He said, okay, how much is 120 plus 130? The journalist went, let me think about this, 120, a buzz in the audience, and he said, 945. Everybody, all the journalists said, give him another chance, give him another chance. So finally the quizmaster said, how much is 8 plus 8? So the journalist said, 8 plus 8, 8 plus 8, let me think about it. And he said, 8 plus 8, 16. And all the journalists said, give him another chance, give him another chance. So we have to fight that. But we all deserve another chance, I think. Anyway, we're not dumb, are we? No. It's only you entertainment guys think we're dumb. Actually, he's not entertainment. He can't get away with that. He's the original news hound. Okay, the third factor that needs change, and I'm coming to the end, there are only 4, and the last 2 are very short, I hope. But I said 2 minutes, I was told half an hour, so 10 minutes. I feel very sorry for you. The third factor that needs change, and it's one that most of my fellow editors, and I've talked to them, don't want me to ever speak about. Why? Because it hurts us. Indian media today lives and thrives on what I call a punishment-free environment. We can say what we like, defame whoever we like, make false accusation against whatever, whoever we like, and nothing happens. It's bliss. Man, our defamation cases take 20 years. I think Shekhar, when he was in the Indian Express, told me, you have 500 defamation cases. Bring it on, baby. Not a defamation case. And even after those bloody 20 years, sorry for the bloody, the verdict has really rarely punished anybody or any media house harshly. The result is we're all getting slack. We forget to do our research. We don't even need to check our facts. We don't care if we wrongly defame someone. The bottom line is we are dropping our standards because we have no punishment. And if this decline in quality continues, I believe 3 years from now, Indian media will have no credibility left. And so you know what that means. It happened to politicians a long time ago. And it's tough to recover. Once you lose your credibility, it's tough to get it back. So, I hate to go against the tide, but I do feel we do need tough defamation laws. We need verdicts to be decided quickly, not 20 years. With possible punishment hanging over our heads, we may actually sharpen up. We may be more careful with our facts, more thorough in our research, and only then will we retain credibility and the trust of our viewers and readers. This punishment-free zone we live in today is lovely for us in the media today, but damaging 3 years from now. Let's push for change, and I wish Mumbai Press Club would do this voluntarily. Take the lead, set an example. But I want to make one thing clear in asking for more defamation. The tougher defamation must come from our courts and our legal system, not the government. There is absolutely no role for the government in the media in any way, not at all in any sphere. But the courts have, and we have. So the final fourth change that I referred to, I would like to talk about the internet. And I'm not referring to net neutrality here tonight, which anyway we must fight for and preserve at all costs. Net neutrality is crucial for our democracy. It's now almost as important as the right to vote in our new democracy. Lose it, or even allow big operators to nibble away at it, like internet.org, and it'll change and damage our democracy and our new democracy, almost as seriously as losing one man, one vote. But that's another topic, and I'll talk about that some other time, if you ever want to hear another long, boring lecture. Okay. The issue I wish to talk to here tonight about internet is the danger of anonymity and the unrestrained internet. It's clear, for example, that Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and many of the other big names in the West are aware of the dangers of anonymity in their own society, and certain areas that might cause a threat to their society, like pedophilia, child sex, cyberbullying, and terror threats. And they've rightly put in safeguards to screen their content for these dangers before ever publishing it. But are these same websites aware of the dangerous consequences that a different kind of image or a different kind of message has in a developing society like India? In volatile countries like India, where social tensions simmer beneath the surface, the violent consequences of anonymity can be much more damaging than sex crimes and cyberbullying in Western societies. For example, an organized surge of anonymous messages against a particular religion or a particular caste can lead, and there are many examples, has led to violence, panic, and death. Those who send these messages are never caught because they hide behind the anonymity of the internet. A provocative Twitter message in a sectarian confrontation in a riot situation can explode. Now, while there are many, many advantages of anonymity, in many ways it is the essence of the freedom on the net. But it's also important to recognize that the inherent dangers, terrorists constantly use anonymity of the web, might in certain circumstances outweigh those very benefits. Maybe it's time, I feel, to bring the internet a little closer to the responsibilities that all other forms of media face. surely one should take responsibility for what one writes. How many lives have been lost and will be lost in the name of anonymity? Perhaps it's time that Facebook, Twitter, YouTube become sensitive to messages in our society. Sensitive to the dangers of people taking advantage of the democratic freedoms in India and are actually maybe doing harm to our democracy. Why don't they check for those words like they're sensitive to problems in their own country? We have different situations and different flashpoints to those in America. And we have a responsibility to address them before they incite religious, communal, sectarian violence. And just as they pre-screen the sites for themselves, are they ready to invest similar systems for the kind of dangers in different societies to their own? Let me be clear, we are not arguing for a complete ban on the internet. In everyday use, for comments, criticism, abuse, anything, anonymity must continue. What we need perhaps is a law that permits the piercing of the veil of anonymity only when a serious crime is committed. The very last resort. And once again, it must be the judiciary, not the government, never the government, that decides when this veil should be pierced. And ensure that it's done, the judiciary also ensure that it's done in the rarest of rare cases. So that's it about it. We in India have so much going for us in the media. We have, especially the youngsters, thanks to us, you have democracy in your DNA. In fact, you question too much. We question everything. And that's wonderful. You don't find it in any other country. I still believe we are more vibrant media than anywhere else in the world. On top of that, we are the cutting edge of new technology that bypasses government. I could give you stories of how we've used technology over the last 25 years to get past government censorship and government restraints. Our media is more vibrant than anywhere in the world. Let's not just throw it all away and commit harakiri. We are pretty good at doing that, actually. So as journalists, let's not chase profits without purpose. Let's not forget the Heisenberg principle and turn into insiders and become part of the power brokers. Let's voluntarily accept legal discipline when we defame and fail to do our research. And let's embrace this new wonderful world of the internet with imagination, and let's leverage that democracy that's in our DNA. NDTV, for one, is now focusing on becoming a digital company more than a television company. We learned the lesson during the last elections, for example, where our website, ndtv.com, widely considered to have done non-tabloid election coverage, still had 13.5 billion hits in 24 hours. How come I couldn't believe it? 13.5 billion. That's the future. That's the future for all of us. It's a new sunrise for journalism. So do watch this space. I'd like to end tonight with the same 5 words that I used 10 years ago when I was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award, with the message that comes with it. The 5 words were, thank you very much, you ain't seen nothing yet. Thank you.
Dr. Roy, it's your turn to stand. I'm going to ask both the Minister and Uday, I know both of them would like to come up and very briefly, in a few words, express, of course, their admiration for Dr. Roy, the award, and words of encouragement to all the budding journalists here. Mr. Prabhu, would you like to come up first? A few quick words before we wrap up the evening.
I think very interesting ideas you put forward, and I think this is like a self-regulation, which is what you really talked about, is something which will really be the right way to move forward. And I think really congratulations. I'm sure your lifetime achievements have to be measured after 30, 40 years, even more, because I'm sure now you are getting into a new space. So I'm watching the space all the time. So it looks blank now, but it's going to be becoming wider and wider. So all the best to you. Congratulations to all of you who won the awards. I was very happy, and I think next time Gurbi will remember to give me the award for being here, standing here for the longest point of time.
With that,